Pull up a stool and pour yourself a pint as you're about to join three intrepid drinkers, Kevin, Justin, and Mark, as they embark on another Beertastic voyage.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Beertastic Voyage. My name's Kevin.
And I'm Justin.
Okay. You had to get it in there. You were going to do it no matter what.
No, that was going balls to the wall, straight forward.
All full shaft, all the way. There you go.
Yeah.
Are you shaved now?
You didn't romance it
You
at all.
haven't shaved, so yes. Actually, I feel really shitty right now. My level of beard game is like, I'm 100% Viking, and I have the shittiest beard in the room.
And the softest hands.
Yeah, yes, and yes, the most angina-like hands humanly possible.
And that's, not that our guest today has angina hands, I don't know, but the hearty handshake he gave me didn't seem that way. So.
Okay.
And he has a fantastic beard, and this is Dan Moss. Hi, Dan, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
And Dan is the brewer over at Fire Island Beer Company.
It's true.
Nice to meet you, Dan. Welcome to the friendly confines.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a little creepy, but you know.
Yes, thank you.
It's really nice.
That's awesome. We
Thank
aim
you
for
for coming
creepy.
down.
Yeah.
We aim for creepy. Every time we have a guest, and they come to Mark's house, the first one we did upstairs, exactly for the reason you described, because of the winding hallway where you're like, is there a guillotine at the end of this thing? Like,
Well, I mean, also because it was with Sofia Del Gigante from Beer and Yoga.
Okay.
So we
yeah, true.
we didn't want to be like, come with these three men that you just met down into the basement.
Right, true.
You don't know us, but
Yeah.
it's cool.
And actually, after meeting Sophia, she could have taken us anyway, so it's not a big
Probably.
Oh man.
deal. Yeah, she's the best. So how long have you been with Fire Island?
I've been with Fire Island since May of 2017.
Okay.
Yeah, it kind of came on as we were
Just as they were starting to build out
Exactly.
over there.
Yeah.
Huh?
So, speaking of the build out, maybe you can give, for people who don't know, a little idea of what Mark means by build out.
Okay.
Where you guys are and you know how things are going.
So yeah, the company was founded back in I want to say 2009.
It's 2008 or 2009.
Yeah, so on the bottle it says 1999 is when it was kind of conceived, and then 2009 is when I's were dotted and T's were crossed, and
The TTB was paid off.
TTB was paid off. The government got its money, and we started contract brewing, and we kind of contract brewed up until this most recent June. June was when we first kicked our kettles on, and yeah, the rest has been history. So we moved from a contract brewing format to having a production facility in Bayshore. So it was pretty much as close to Fire Island as we could get without basically sinking ferries.
Oh yeah, right.
Or sinking ferries on the way back full of kegs. So
Right.
yeah, that's where we're at, and
Yeah, those ferries aren't cheap.
Yeah.
no, definitely
The freight rates are
not.
Ridiculous.
yes.
I wouldn't know. I haven't shipped anything yet.
Don't do it.
No.
No.
So how big a system are you guys working on over there now?
So we've got a 15-barrel DME brew house. It's single infusion, so that's 2 vessels. It's a mash lauter tun and a kettle.
Awesome.
Very simple, straightforward setup. Gives me a lot of room to kind of make really nice, simple beers, really elegant, complex beers. It's a bomb-proof system. It's great. I love it. 6 tanks, 1 bright tank. Old filter and bottling line, and some really great friends that have a canning line.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because like I know you have plenty of cans, so I was wondering if you were utilizing Great South Bays when they were not using it.
Yeah, I know. When you were in, we spoke about that, and we actually don't use them for like their process is their process, our process is our process, and basically. We do use the same machine to bottle. It's the same model. But the guys that own this one, they happen to have wheels on there, so they can just roll it around.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, like Great South Bays is like pretty much hardwired into.
Oh, so you're working with like Maltman canning or?
Yeah, it's actually friends of Maltman at Sandville.
Okay.
Canning. So they,
Okay.
they're
Seen
coming
their
out a couple of times a month for us, and the last batch that we put into cans was a Lighthouse Ale, and then the next one we're doing is going to be a Red Wagon. So it should be fun.
Gotcha.
Nice.
So why don't you introduce us to this, reintroduce us rather to this beer, the Sea Salt Ale.
Sure. So this is sea salt. It's It's our blonde ale. It's pretty straightforward, easy drinking beer. We do incorporate a little bit of Atlantic sea salt in the hot side process. So we actually add the sea salt into the whirlpool before we send the beer to the fermenter, or to the fermenter for that matter. We use a lot of American hops. We finish the beer with Cascade, some Idaho 7 to give it a little bit of a stone fruit character. There's a little wheat in there. Basically, it's just meant as like a summertime crusher, something that goes really well with like light seafood dishes. It's got a good bit of carbonation and enough bitterness to kind of keep your palate clean and ready for whatever is coming next. If it's going and catching a wave, or a bite of, I don't know, steamed lobster dipped in butter or something. So
This would be very good to cut through some lobster and butter, but
Yeah.
I have to say that I do enjoy this much more than the older formulation that we drank last time.
Yeah, this one, even if it didn't say sea salt, I would immediately go, oh, there's some salt in that. Not like Goza,
Yeah.
It doesn't get sweet or tart, but it definitely finishes similarly with salt.
yeah, we had kind of given a lot of thought to how we were going to make the beer in Bayshore as opposed to contract brewing, and we did briefly talk about making something that was a little bit more tart, but we wanted to stay true to what the beer was, what everybody had kind of gotten used to, and we tried to maintain the recipe as close to the original as possible. So, like I said earlier, probably off mic, Idaho 7 is the new hop that we're finishing it with, and I think that kind of, I don't think it adds a whole lot of hoppy character per se, but it definitely brings out the fruitiness of the malt character, which I kind of like. So it's that.
Yeah, I definitely see that. And is the salt dialed back a little bit? Because maybe it's just perception. It just seems like there's less.
We haven't actively dialed the salt back, but so that might be perception. It might
Gotcha.
be, it might just be like.
Yeah, it might just be the extra fruitiness there from the.
Yeah,
I was gonna say my, I think I said that it tasted kind of like you just got them out the seawater last time, and how you dried out. And I'm not getting that with this version of it. It's a lot nicer with it.
Thank you.
I appreciate this one a lot more.
Awesome.
It's always really hard. It's really exciting to talk the actual beer with the guys that brew it, but it's also really hard because you never want to say anything and you're within arm's reach of me. So I never want to say anything bad, but I really do like it a lot more than the last time through, and I really think that salt was just overpowering on the last batch of it.
Yeah.
That we had.
Well, I'll say this, man. I'm always my own worst critic, so like.
I understand that. I understand that too. Anybody that I don't.
No,
I don't brew all that much, but all of us have done some kind of creative something or other, and anytime you're creating something, it's always you hate it the most.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, you hate it the most. No one else can hate it more than you because it's your thing.
Any home improvement project I've ever done.
Yeah, exactly.
Just check out the oven when you're walking upstairs. It'll be fine.
Oh yeah. Is it basically a campfire?
No, like it's a proper oven and all,
Yeah.
but like, I bought this house a little over 5 years ago now, and just, when we bought the house, the dryer was hardwired into the electric, like there wasn't an outlet there.
Oh, okay.
Well, it turns out my oven was too, and when the controller in my oven shorted out and it just decided to try and go supernova, I couldn't turn it off because the controls on it weren't working. Like you turn it off and a second later it turned back on and like just try to go back to meltdown. And then I couldn't unplug it from the wall because it was wired right into the house. And my electrical panel was a fuse box that was replaced like right before we bought the house, and whoever the previous owner hired to do that didn't label any of the circuits. So I'm down here like randomly flicking things on the phone with my wife. Is it off yet? Is it off yet?
Oh man.
Oh, you mean you didn't just shout up the stairs? Come on.
No, it's
too
it's
far.
Too far.
It's the dungeon labyrinth. You wouldn't
Yes.
allow the sound to travel in that
Yeah.
direction.
It's designed for that, but that's
Yes.
okay. That's
Yeah, exactly.
So Dan, you told us tell us a little bit about how Fire Island got started. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started into the beer brewing game?
I actually went to culinary school at Johnson & Wales in Providence, Rhode Island, and that's where I fell in love with beer. I was working at some restaurants and kind of doing a little part time here, a little part time there, and just kind of fell in love with the two different kinds of beers, right? So the big hoppy, malty, robust, high alcohol American beers,
Right.
and the more subtle European beers, pilsners, Belgian ales, stuff like that. So that's kind of where I kind of first got a taste for beer. Probably 2 years into my college career, I got a homebrew kit and started brewing. Don't ever remember making a good beer until, God, it was 3 or 4 years into my homebrewing career, and actually working at a brewery. So I was interning at Brooklyn Brewery. I worked. I'm sorry. I went through the American Brewers Guild. Got my craft brewer's apprenticeship certificate.
Nice.
Interned at Brooklyn Brewery. Worked at Brooklyn Brewery for a couple of years. Worked overseas for a little while. Worked on a couple of startups and sales. I've been in the beer industry for about 10 years and kind of worn a couple of different hats in those 10 years.
Yeah, it sounds like you're well traveled.
You
Yeah.
kind of worked around. You said you had you did some sales stuff. You did it, so you kind of start seeing all the different sides of it.
Yeah, so I had worked on a couple of startups, and they, I'm sure you guys are probably aware of what it kind of takes to start up a business, and it tends to be a lot of work and can be draining. So after doing that twice in a row, and you kind of want to take a step back, and my step back was learning a different aspect of the industry, and sales was pretty easy to get into at the time. So I got a job with a distributor in the city. I was working in Brooklyn.
Right.
And then I was approached by another bigger brewery, 6 Point,
Oh yeah.
to be one of their brand ambassadors, basically a salesperson on their team, but focusing only on the 6 Point portfolio, which was really fun. But there's always something in the back of my mind that said, you're a brewer, you're not a sales guy. So it was just kind of where my head was at, and the Fire Island job came up. And I kind of had to go with my gut, go with my heart, and that's I guess that's why I'm here. I guess that's why I'm sitting here now.
Well, that, and you also thought hey, yeah, that sounds like it'd be fun to go sit down and talk with those guys.
I got to admit, sitting down and drinking beers and talking about beers with some like-minded people is also very fun.
It's usually a tough sell for those kind of folks. I know it is.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So I was flipping through a little bit, and I think doing a little bit of homework because I was trapped waiting for jury duty.
Mm-hmm.
So
Nice.
I decided to try to cyberstalk you a little bit.
That's why we have the Technicolor Dreamcoat of notes over there.
You may notice that these happen to be former juror questionnaires. So thank you, Suffolk County, for lending me the paper and the little golf pencil to take these notes. So while you were at Brooklyn, you got the chance to brew a beer over there, right? The River Beer, is that one of yours?
I did, yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that beer?
That was kind of born out of a desire to do a little bit more with barrels, and
barrels. So it was used like a white wine barrels or something like that.
So it was actually used as assorted red wine barrels that our friends over at Brooklyn Winery had purchased or had used, and they loaned them to us for this little project. So I brewed it's like a 7.5% Belgian pale ale with just a whole bunch of Willamette hops.
I have like 3 pounds of that in the freezer right now.
I did that mainly because at this point, if I don't say that after Willamette comes up, he's going to be very disappointed.
Yeah, Bobby and Boboy at the LIBME meeting. There's a bunch of hops up here. So there was one big thing of Amarillo on top that there were like 17 bearded giant gentlemen fought over.
Okay.
And then there was like just a
lot
metric
of
ton of Willamette left.
Really?
And I'm like, I make oatmeal stouts. I'll take those.
So it's always nice when
you got like 3 pounds of Willamette now, right?
For it.
Yes, exactly.
That's amazing. But yeah, so we took the wort, fermented it, racked it into barrels, let it sit in barrels for 6 weeks, and that's it. I mean, it picked up a little bit of an amber reddish hue to it, some, subtle barrel character, but, it was a really nice beer. I know my father has a couple of bottles still floating around, but maybe there's a couple at Brooklyn. I don't know.
Sitting on a shelf somewhere, display something.
Yeah,
Display case.
That's still.
It can shit on the shelf too. That's okay.
I can only imagine that's got to be a great thing to have one of your beers like released as a commercial product.
Yeah, it was very small, like a very limited release. Like it was only like a 25 barrel batch.
Yeah, but even still.
Yeah, no, it's very cool.
It's only 25 barrels. There's only enough to sink a ferry.
Yeah, only enough to sink a ferry.
That is now a unit of measure. Ferry
Yes.
sinking is a unit
Right.
of measure.
Yeah, we have on the podcast. Our official measurement is swimming pools,
Mhm.
and now can it sink a ferry?
Nice.
Yeah,
We're going to use that one.
yeah. Swimming pools is for volume, and
Yes.
sink a ferry is for
weight.
mass.
Yeah.
I like that.
So
Yeah, we had Mark crack open one of the
one
unlabeled
of the
bottles.
mystery bottles that you gave me when I stopped in, and it looks like
Yeah.
I picked the stout.
You did.
Yeah, I was
Indeed.
going to say if it's not the stout, then we
Oh,
don't
I'm
see
sorry,
it.
I didn't.
No,
I
they're
tripped on the jury notes.
they're notes for a
No.
beer podcast. I would expect them to have.
Yeah, if there's
Okay.
no
Well,
video,
Unless
there's
there's
no
beer
video.
stains on it, we're not doing something right.
Yes. So my son's high chair is not covered in food he didn't eat. So
Yes.
This smells scrumptious.
Yes.
Really loving that roast in there.
oh man,
Yeah, it was good roast and like pretty good malt sweetness.
it's been very nutty too on the nose.
Trying to keep it clean.
I get more coffee than
Yeah.
Yeah. When I smell, see, the problem is I don't drink coffee, which I say every time. So when I smell something, the last thing I think of is coffee. So I think of like a hazelnut type situation. More
All right,
than coffee.
I get Oreo.
You wish you got
I
one.
was just saying, if you got Oreo, if you're making an Oreo beer, I need to be there. Mostly
I-
because
I-
you won't end up with any Oreos in the
I
beer.
get that you're
in my mouth.
dropping hints, but I don't know if you picked up before Kevin said that he has, they brought his wife's car over here, so
Yeah, I don't have any.
there's
of
nothing
that
in the
there, I'm
trunk,
sorry.
unfortunately.
Oh.
As you probably realize, when your venture of selling beer,
Mhm.
you don't get nearly as much of it as you like for your personal consumption.
Yeah.
As you would wish being a salesperson. That
Right.
idea of the salesman always having some samples in their car is long gone. Like that's like, oh wait, we can save money by not giving the sales reps anything. Okay, yeah, so
Let's do that.
yeah. So on a rare occasion, I'll get to try some of the new flavors that come out, but that's not even because my boss gives it to me. It's because I
Thai
happen to
chili
know my
Oreos
boss's boss. No, we have cinnamon right now though, and
Oh,
hazelnut
that's actually
and
sounds
chocolate hazelnut cream.
Nice. That's a lot better than like durian or
Yeah, that would really.
sardine.
I
Oreo.
just learned about durian recently,
Really.
and I had never, I'm no way interested in trying. It's no way interested in trying it.
I would definitely try it.
I probably would, but it's just the description of it as being like gym socks.
Apparently the smell is terrible, but it tastes very good.
When I was in Hawaii, like that was something that I could have bought, and I was just like, no.
Really? That is surprising. You're like very adventurous and like kind of want to try everything. I mean, food wise, not everything.
Yeah, but when the descriptors are like gym sock and
Yeah, but come on, saison, funk, blanket, horse blanket. We like that.
Yeah, that'll.
Yeah, I know,
that'll
but-
get you
Burnt tire.
drunk.
but
True.
but there's also the texture aspect of it,
Oh yeah, me too.
where like
Isn't that supposed to be like brie or something?
yeah,
like
like
custardy,
custardy
yeah.
and like between that and the like
Yeah.
I love me some funky cheeses, but like I don't know, it just seems, especially when it's an Asian person with like a little stand set up inside of a state park
And
by
it's
the rest stop.
and it says and the top just says a label. It says totally legit.
Basically, yeah.
Don't worry, it's cool. It's cool.
The durian always seemed to me like basically a really ripe French cheese trapped inside a pine cone, and that just never sat right. Like if I want cheese, I'll get cheese, thank you. But I'm
If
not.
I
gonna
want pine cones,
see-
I'm gonna munch on pine cones.
Yeah,
Damn it.
exactly. There's
It's
no,
also one of those things where like you have to wonder like how somebody originally figured out that like I can eat this.
yeah, like
Desperation.
how?
Yeah.
Somebody was on a desert island and went, "Fuck, I haven't eaten in 26 days. and I'm staring at this thing."
Well,
Like
I mean,
you broke it open, you found the little pockets of edibleness in it, and the smell didn't turn you away. And you're just like, oh yeah, all right, this is
it's
the
like
thing we eat now.
it's like in Was it on Hoth with in
Oh,
Star Wars?
yeah,
When
yeah.
he cuts open that, what is it?
The tauntaun.
Tauntaun? Yeah.
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 Hold on, we might have something for you.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
I'm just gonna drape this over.
My wife got that for me as a wedding present. by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a pretty epic.
I'm just gonna drape this over me for a minute while it's on screen.
Is that like a costume? Can that be like a?
No, it's actually
a throw rug.
yeah,
Really?
it's meant to be a throw rug. I want to get that or like get this guy to make a nice wooden bracket for me so that I can like hang it on. The
Oh
wall.
yeah, done deal.
I'm just gonna pet the tauntaun for
I
a minute.
like that.
That's a wampa.
Oh,
So-
sorry.
Does since we called it the Stout, does it have a name?
Yeah, tell us a little bit more.
Yeah,
about it.
So this is Sunken Ferry Oyster Stout, which was around a few years back, but sorry,
You're good.
we wanted to bring it back. We partnered with a couple of local restaurants, Catch and Patchogue and Salt and Barrel in Bayshore. They donated some oyster shells for us to brew a couple batches, so we got about I'd say 50 pounds of oyster shells per batch. Kind of just recirculated the hop wort over the oyster shells as you would with a hop back or something like that, and fermented as per usual. And it's unfiltered, so you're getting the the best possible experience of the beer.
It's very good.
That's it, yeah. So we did a couple of cases of bottles just so we can kind of get it out there a little bit, use them as sales samples. But we had some extra, so I figured it'd be fun to give you guys a taste.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate it, and it is
Cool.
very good. And I'll definitely pick this up should I see it
Awesome.
out in the wild somewhere.
I've always been afraid of oyster stouts because
Yeah.
I don't do the seafood thing like at all. I worked on a lot of fishing boats. I'm just sort of
Okay.
over the whole concept of seafood.
Yeah.
But my first one was from Blind Bat. We did his oyster stout.
Yeah, with the smoked oysters
Yeah,
in it.
he smoked some oysters over alderwood and then
Okay.
put it in there. And what's interesting to me is the difference between the two. You use the shells. This definitely tastes like an oyster stout.
Mhm.
Similarly,
Sure.
obviously minus the smoke, but it's more of a hint of it. It's but you still get roast. With his, it wasn't. I didn't get quite as much roast in
Sure.
there. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's I think that kind of to me when you talk about a stout, if you look at the history of the style, a stout was a stout porter, and a porter was big, burly, malty, dark brown beer with very little hops, very little roast, but still dark brown, sometimes even black. When we put the recipe together for this, we wanted something that was going to have some of that toast character, some of that I don't want to say some of that dark chocolate, dark roast coffee kind of almost burnt toast kind of character to it.
Yeah.
And it is a lighter beer, it's not a 7.5-8% Russian Imperial Stout. It's 5%. So
Wow.
in light of a such a kind of slim body, something that's very very crushable. This is something that if we ever get into nitrogenated beers, I'd love to do some work on.
I
on
bet this would be great on that.
But to kind of keep the keep it interesting, we wanted to keep it kind of roasty and full flavored. So there is quite a bit of chocolate malt in there, quite a bit of roasted barley in there.
Yeah. The roast balances out that I don't know, I guess the sea flavor that I get from the oyster. for lack of a better
kind
word.
of brininess.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just
very
kind
slight.
of
Yeah.
it's
there.
just kind of a hint of it. Yeah, it's nice.
And I like that it's not necessarily a stout that has to have a big, thick mouthfeel or
Yeah.
be chewy. I enjoy those,
Mhm.
but doesn't always have to be that way. And I'm back for an everyday drinker. I think something along this line is a lot more
It's got
accessible.
great legs, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah. The
I like to think I do too.
when I think of Fire Island beer in general, you think of being at Fire Island on the beach. You know what I mean? So to have a dark beer that also still carries through that kind of brand concept is interesting. Along those lines, I was wondering, do you guys want to do or have any plans to do like a Russian Imperial Stout type thing?
That's a really interesting question. I mean, we kind of, pretty much every day we kind of talk about, brand identity and what Fire Island means to us. And I think for the most part, I feel like this term is used quite quite often, and sometimes to its own detriment. But sessionability is a big factor for people that drink beer, like being able to have two or three. And if you're talking about the environment of Fire Island, that that definition of sessionability might turn into 5 or 6.
Right.
Where you're kind of you're drinking on a hot day, you're doing physical activity. So we wanted to brew beers that were going to fit in with that microcosm of
Beach parties.
yeah, that microcosm.
You want to be
of
able to drink it at the beach party.
Exactly. Yeah. I think ideally, somebody's drinking it on the beach, like they get up and maybe they don't have a beer right off the bat, but
Then you're not
11
farting
o'clock
right away on
comes
the
around,
island.
they caught a few waves, or a little fried from the sun. They go in, they get their deli sandwich and drink their Isla del Fuego, and get back to the beach, and then at the end of the day, they're crushing a couple of red wagons and I don't know, roasting some weenies by a fire. Is that what people do on? I don't know.
I don't know. To be probably honest with you, I hate the beach altogether.
Okay.
So I very rarely find myself on the beach or Fire Island. But if I were to go, roasting weenies would definitely be what I would be doing. Catching a wave definitely wouldn't be one of those things.
Well,
I'd be entirely too worried about it. I like some random person harpooning me and being super excited about it.
Oh,
well, I mean, the last time I know of that you were there, like we were just ragging on Taylor. And
Oh right,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah,
And
Taylor
later
can't
beer
play
pong.
cornhole at the beach either.
That's right. Can't play anywhere. I'll beat him every time.
wow.
But
Bad at cornhole.
yeah, he really is. But I gotta say that the image that you were just relaying is exactly what we were talking about when we were drinking the Isla del Fuego.
Mhm.
Like, just a big frosty cooler of them and sitting on the beach, hanging out all day. Like,
Yeah.
and I just want the whole flat in there, right there with it.
It's a pretty picture. When I have a good day, that's what my dreams are like.
There you go.
Nice.
Just a big cooler at Isla del Fuego.
Okay,
Isla
excellent.
del Fuego? I say IDF because
Because it's just faster.
yeah, exactly.
I got it.
Isla's
But
probably
you're
the proper pronunciation.
you're on a
Prefer
first name
nomenclature.
basis with it. You're a little closer to it
Yeah.
than we are. It's okay.
It's initials. It's like I don't know, HRC or DJT or anyway.
I don't know.
Yeah. QQQ. That's what I
So-
use when I go to the poker room.
I cracked open the Lighthouse Ale, which we've now passed around, and I have to say, this is speaking of sessionable beers and whatnot, this is right in that wheelhouse.
Yeah, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. This is an amber ale. Finished with a little Cascade. Nothing serious. Really strong malt backbone in this one.
Yeah,
kind of
definitely.
blend Pilsner, Munich, and Vienna malts, along with a little Crystal and a little Carafa too. But yeah, this is the classic kind of amber ale that I guess was one of the forerunners of craft in America, right? Back in the was it 60s, 70s with like
Oh
Anchor
yeah,
Steam
like
and-
the late 70s,
kind of-
early 80s.
yeah, this is not Anchor Steam. This is not Sierra Nevada Pale Ale or Yingling, but I'd like to think that it's in there. It's in that kind of realm of drinkability and weight.
Yeah,
Oh,
this
yeah.
Is, this is like I love malty beers. This is perfect. Like it has just that teeny bit of hop finish to sort of clean the palate, and I mean, like you mentioned, first thing I thought it was Munich and Vienna with a little bit of spiciness and like breadiness
Yeah.
to it. Really good.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I don't remember enjoying it the last time I had it, but I couldn't tell you the last time that I had it.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that's probably been before the last year and a half or so when I really started focusing on what I was drinking with the beers
Mhm.
and not just drinking for the sake of drinking as much as I could.
Let's play Drink the Beer.
Yeah, I'm still one of my favorite games.
What do I
but,
win? Another beer.
Sounds like a fun game.
The Cascade you said on the back is not really my favorite
Mhm.
of it, but it's definitely better than I remember it being. So I enjoy it in that sense.
There is a little bit of a resinous bite on
Yeah,
the back of the taste, but it's not strong enough where it kind of puts me off.
right. No, I mean to me this would be one that I would gladly have while sitting down and having dinner with it, but I just don't. It doesn't necessarily hit the note for me of I want to sit down and just drink this beer and have it be its standalone item.
I might agree with you on that. It might not be that beer that like gets you through dinner because there's no solid food.
Right. Yeah. There's other beers that I need that are a meal replacement. This one's not it. But this one I would gladly have with dinner and enjoy it. I think it would I think it has the body to stand up to the flavors of really whatever you're going to be eating.
Yeah.
So, fun fact, I mean, before we started recording, you mentioned that you just passed your Cicerone, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Spent a lot of yesterday going through like their online beer savvy as well, and Amber Ale grew out of Pale Ale, mostly because the caramel malts and whatnot that the craft brewers were putting in them the beer was coming out too dark for the customers to be like, that's a Pale Ale?
Yeah.
So they're like, all right, it's Amber. It's an Amber Ale. All
It's
right,
something
you happy now?
It's something completely different. It's an amber ale. I made it on purpose. It wasn't an accidentally over-malted beer at all.
Along the lines of all my customers are idiots, so I just have to lie to them. Like,
yeah, no, that one too.
but now it's its own thing, and it's pretty treaty. I'm not a big Cascade fan, but I actually in this like the way it works in this is to me it's perfect. I love the malty front. It's tremendous.
I appreciate that.
Another one with some great lacing on the glass.
Thank you.
So you said you passed the Cicerone exam. How many times did it take you to pass it? I gotta ask that.
So I passed the written very easily, but I also I went through brewing school and I've been in the industry for quite a while.
Right.
The tasting is what kind of threw me, and kind of looking back, I feel silly for what actually. So for where some of my mistakes were, because there's literally only 12 questions on the tasting portion of the certified Cicerone exam. I was fooled by Rodenbach Grand Cru.
Oh man.
I know. I was like, it was the last one on the, and I was fooled by it the first time I took the tasting, not the second time. If it was the second time too, that would have been bad.
So what do they do? They just give you the glass and they ask you, like what style is this, or?
So yeah, I think the first four, there's 3 sets, 4 tastes, and the first 4 are off flavors. You get it's like Sam Light or Miller Light or something like
what's
that.
Wrong with
They
it?
dose them.
What's wrong with it, and what can you do to correct it?
Yeah, and then the next 4, you'd get a sample of the Oyster Stout, and they'd say, is this an Oyster Stout or is this a porter? And you'd have to discern what the beer was, and then
if the characteristics that you were observing, put it here or there.
Exactly. And then the last section was fit for service. So they would give you the style, or they give you the style and the brand. They would tell you if it was draft or bottle, I believe, and then some of them they would spike, some of them they wouldn't. So, like I said, Rodenbach Grand Cru, if you get a deep red beer that's, got a great cherry aroma, a little acidic, a little buttery, a little funky, chances are it's fit for service. But
they're probably not going to give you the slam dunk. They're probably like, oh yeah, this one sucks.
Yeah. And I thought I was being clever by saying, no, there's diacetyl and it's
one of the greatest beers ever brewed.
Yeah, it's silly me.
Yeah, believe me, I probably would do the same thing.
Yeah, but when you're looking for problems, it's easy for your brain to sit there and try to find it.
Yeah, Mark and I are studying for BJCP exam, and simultaneously we're using the Cicerone stuff, and eventually hope to do that as well for the the serving end of things in particular. We've gone through 3 of your beers. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what do you? I mean, it doesn't have to be your beer. But what do you drink? Like if you're drinking beer, what are you gonna do?
Well, I mean, I'm a big fan of lagers. Like one of the beers that I kind of brought a little special treat. Yeah, maybe we should. This is a good opportunity.
Sure. It's in the giant can.
The mystery
mystery growler.
Yep.
So like I was saying, I'm a big fan of lagers. I worked briefly at Black Forest Brewhouse in Farmingdale.
Oh, cool.
We like that place.
I found that, and I have a specific question I got to ask you about that place in a minute.
Okay. So yeah, that is where I first made my first decoction Pilsner, and it was by far the best beer or my favorite beer that I ever brewed.
Okay.
So like River's up there. I have a couple other places that I feel like I've brewed some really nice beers, but that Pilsner particularly stands out because it was hopped with all sods, decocted, really malty, great mouthfeel. Like it had that like straight from Germany flavor profile to it. Like
Yeah, I do enjoy the Pilsner.
yeah, when I was in Belgium and I also spent some time in Denmark. I think I might have mentioned that earlier. But yeah, when I was there,
You were just vague. You said overseas.
Yeah.
But yeah, the specificity helps clue that on a little bit better.
yeah. So yeah, and that's kind of, I guess those two stories, that story and the story of the river are. This is the confluence of those two stories: how much I like lagers and how much I like aging beers in wine barrels. So this is the Chardonnay Lager. It's a little kind of a secret project. We basically took a batch of lager, and before we made it IDF. So
yeah, I was gonna say just the base before the lime.
yeah, so we took the base lager and I racked it off into a Chardonnay barrel from Bedell Cellars out east, and we let it sit there for 6 weeks, and then we literally just racked it straight from the barrel into.
Kevin has no words.
This is fucking
and,
awesome.
Thank you.
It is very good though.
I was wondering, as I took a sip before the barrel story, and then I don't know if anybody saw the light bulb fly over my head.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this? Like,
Yeah.
I obviously knew it was a lager based on the story, but and then you Chardonnay. I mean, it's so obvious. as you
It's
say.
very apparent in both the aroma and the flavor.
Yeah.
It's very good.
But you're also probably not going to guess that. Like, if I gave you 5 guesses at the beginning, would you have said Chardonnay?
No,
exactly.
Because I don't drink enough wine.
Meaning, exactly.
Yeah,
Hence having a beer podcast.
My initial thing was, okay, hey, there's kind of lemony to it. I wonder if he added lemon to it, or if it was just that or maybe he found a hop that added a really lemon aroma to it. But then once you said the Chardonnay, and you taste it, it really is very much present there, and it's really delicious. It creates a very light but smooth flavor to it.
Yeah, one of my kind of personal hopes and dreams for what we can do at Fire Island is kind of, I guess, basically figure out what barrels actually taste like. Because I feel like when you take like a big hoppy IPA and you age that in a barrel, or you take like a Russian Imperial Stout and you throw that in a barrel, or sour or whatever, these beers come out.
Yeah, the flavors of the beer that you're putting in there are so strong to begin with. What's really coming from the wood?
Yeah, it's almost like you want to try to find a balance in what you're making, and it's very easy. Like a lot of barrel aged stouts that I've had in the past have, to me, come across as like almost whiskey and coke kind of mixed drinks, And,
yeah, I could definitely get that from some.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
So you like I've just kind of like lost the interest in trying to pick out the varietal barrel and yada yada yada. So like rather than kind of making our first barrel like a big Russian Imperial Stout, or the stout might be great, like the finished product might be great, but you don't like, it really doesn't matter what that barrel is. Like I kind of wanted to see if we put like a delicate beer in a barrel that held a delicate liquid, what would be the result. And I don't think this is delicate at all. Subtle, maybe I would say, but I think it's a really powerful beer, and for me, it's a very powerful experience to see what you can get out of such a low impact exercise.
Yeah,
as far as aging.
It definitely has like a subtle fruitiness to it. And
Yeah,
like
I'm getting a little apricot as I keep drinking it.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not a well-versed wine drinker, but I definitely pick up some like winey hints.
Yeah.
In with the base lager there, and it's very good, and
Thank you.
The wives upstairs would definitely enjoy it.
Yes.
What I would say is that it's really the flavor is very prominent. It's just not intense.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Sometimes with the barrel aged stouts and things like that, it tastes almost like you did a shot and then had a beer chaser with it, and that's the experience that you're getting from one sip.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what's happening here. It's much more of a smooth, constant, steady stream of that Chardonnay kind of flavor to it, which to me, like I said lemon and apricot, and there's that little bit of floral and fruitiness to it. It's really delightful and really easy drinking.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that you were able to take kind of the idea of an out there beer where someone takes a Russian Imperial Stout or a darker beer and makes that the palate for all those flavors you're talking about. Taking a lighter beer makes them more prominent, and also you don't see it happening. I was just listening to a podcast today called Experimental Brewing where they interviewed someone about lagers, and they talked about like barrel aging lagers and how no one does it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's fascinating to have one just show up.
Yeah, hey.
That's serendipitous.
Right.
It's a really interesting, like, I mean, like, if you look at the history of lagers, like, they've been aged in wood pretty much since their inception. Like, that was the only material that in the Middle Ages you could make into a round vessel that was able to fit through a door in a cave, and you could store it there. And then, it was a pain in the ass to move it back, but because it was full of, when these things are full, they're, that's 60 gallons of liquid in a modern wine barrel.
Yeah,
like
times 8 pounds a gallon.
It's like 500 pounds.
Yeah.
Easily, yeah. So, and, trying to roll that thing.
You're not squatting that.
Yeah.
No.
And I don't know if they had steel toes back then, but I imagine there were a lot of people with like very flat feet in breweries. But yeah, so, lagers were pretty much always stored in barrels, but nobody ever really at least in the modern era, I guess, as far as I've seen, has taken it's always like, let's take the biggest possible beer that we have, throw that in a barrel, and just compound these like very complex flavors. And I think this is almost like, for me, it's like a deconstructed barrel aged beer. You get the essence of the liquid that was in the barrel before. I think you pick up on the barrel. I get a lot of vanilla and a lot of that almost Brettanomyces, bready, buttery, farm housey character. And then I get a very subtle hint of that beery lager, that like just kind of post frat party stale beer smell almost. Like
I know exactly.
Yeah. I'm laughing because I just feel like it makes perfect sense. It's the right way to describe it, but it's funny. The right way to describe something, it's so good, but there's no other way to describe it, but it doesn't sound good.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's delicious. And I could definitely mistake this for a Brett or even some level of a sour beer.
Yeah, I mean, I can't honestly say that, and if any of the Bedell Cellars people are listening, I apologize for saying this, but I can't say for sure whether or not there is or is not Brett in that barrel.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's also a common thing with wineries as well.
It is, but it's I know wineries tend to try to keep it out of the house
not to
as
say
much
that
as possible.
Right, but it is it's a
naturally
common
occurring. It's gonna happen.
pest in wineries. I
It
guess
is,
would be
yeah.
the proper way to say what I was getting at.
So just to keep them happy, we can neither confirm nor deny the presence of Brettanomyces in their barrels.
Yes, I have not
We
put
have
on
no
microscope.
intimate knowledge of this existence or not.
You may have said it earlier.
Plead the fifth.
How long did you barrel it for? How long was the barrel aged for?
About 6 weeks.
Oh, okay.
6
So
weeks,
yes, you get a lot shorter turnaround on it than you would a Russian Imperial Stout. Because you obviously have to have it in there for probably a little bit longer in a stout to get the character to come through.
I think all things considered equal, like, because we had such a, take this versus a Russian Imperial Stout, you have a much lighter base beer. So any of those flavors that you do pick up are going to show up that much more prominently, whereas with a Russian Imperial Stout, with all that sugar, that alcohol, that roast, all that other stuff, I think you kind of have to hit a threshold as far as like flavor saturation in a barrel. But I don't know what that time frame is. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
I think so. When I was at Brooklyn Brewery, this is strictly based off of memory. I couldn't say. So
Yeah.
Brooklyn, if you're listening, I'm not trying to give up any company secrets, but maybe 3 months in a barrel.
Right.
I think that's about close, but again, I don't know, your mileage may vary. Like bigger barrels have less service area
right.
compared,
The service,
so,
service area definitely plays into it, and then also, I'm sure that like you said before, whatever liquid was in there previously.
Yeah.
You know, the intensity of the flavor there is going to vary depending upon what that was as well.
Yeah, how many soaks has the barrel gone through? It's
Right.
a whole it's a whole industry in and of itself. I mean, there are people that are strictly, coopers for the beer industry, where they manage.
Yeah, I mean,
They
like
manage beer.
some
barrels.
breweries have coopers on staff because that's just how much wood they have.
Russian River.
Yeah, or New Belgium is another one.
I know when we were doing the homework for the Hermitage Brewery that we got some beers from, that they keep the guys there that just focus on, since they do so many sours, they just focus on what this barrel tastes like and that barrel tastes like, and then and then this guy's whole job is just to blend them.
Yeah.
Like he's the blender for it. That's all.
Yeah,
he does.
I forget who it is, but I listened to the Sour Hour on Brewing Network,
Okay, right.
and one of the guys from one of the
Oh, is that the Rare Barrel podcast?
yeah.
I really like that one. That's
Yeah, I
good one.
right. That's the only one of them that I can listen to because
Yeah.
the other ones are just too like college dorm room
Yeah.
like nonsense.
Wait, so in the canon of beer podcasts being ecology or like the Rare Barrel, like the Sour Hour, where on the spectrum are we here?
Well, so like that's a funny story too because like when we were first talking about like doing this, Justin was like, I don't get it. Like, how is this gonna work out? Like, I sent him like a link to the session. I was like, it's gonna be like. Well, it was more like when we were getting ready to talk to the Brewers Collective. They were the first brewers that we sat down and talked with, and
Sure.
Justin was like, "What's the format going to be like?" I was like, "Look, listen to this. It's going to be like that, but a lot less broy."
I like that.
There wasn't one chest bump the whole time, so I felt like it was a success.
Nice.
Like we don't purposely burp into the microphone.
There have been 0 chest bumps.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we strive to be as informational as possible while simultaneously breaking each other's balls as hard as humanly possible.
It's
So,
a fine line.
That's kind of
You
cool.
guys, yeah. You guys ride the edge there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What do we got left for beverages here?
Well,
I'm just wondering if we could list them off. I don't want to pour anything right now. I know we're still sampling.
we got
the other
the pumpkin. We took out another bottle of the wit, and then we've got the red wagon.
one. Ooh, Red Wagon. I want to comment on the deer because I hate deer like a lot. They eat all the stuff in my house.
Yeah.
I like eating them and shooting them. That's fun.
That's true. They've decimated his garden in the
Yeah.
past 2 years.
Yeah, I've been threatening to crossbow the group of them in the backyard, like verbally to
Really?
their faces for a long time. They don't give a
Yell
shit.
at them.
They don't give a shit at all.
It's
But-
like they don't understand.
I don't
English.
think they speak English.
Right, exactly. I've yelled at them.
They
don't
might be
care.
Spanish deer. You
Right.
don't know.
We don't know. True. So I love. I'm obviously in communications, so I love looking at marketing. I
Yeah.
love what you guys are doing with the deer now.
It's a pretty fun take on the imaging that we had. Sea level graphics. I'd have to get the exact name, but Christina's awesome. She did a great job with our new branding, and basically it's a more playful take on the major components of the imagery. Like, so the major components are the deer and the lighthouse, right?
Right.
And then obviously the red wagon and red wagon and I think that's it actually.
Well,
The
like
deer
also
lighthouse
like
would be-
the Isla or Isla de
Oh,
del
yeah,
Fuego
yeah,
with
yeah.
the sombrero and the poncho.
Yeah, we don't want to take it too seriously. So when you make a beer and you call it a Mexican lager, you kind of have to pay homage to
No, I
what
think
you
it's
made out of
appropriate.
it, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, on the lighthouse ale here, so you have the lighthouse here with a big sun behind it, looks really pretty,
Yeah,
and then the deer is surfishing in the background, which
yeah.
is sweet.
yeah.
It's really cool. And then on the red wagon,
Deer people too.
it's quite clearly.
On Fire Island.
Not in my backyard. No.
Well, did you know that they'll swim across the bay? And
Yeah.
When I first heard that, I was like, no, that's completely no, it's a deer. Why?
I can't say I've ever seen one do it, but I
Yeah.
read
They had to have
about it.
gotten there somehow before
Yeah.
the bridges were built.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's pretty nuts.
I was all imagining
Do
on
they-
the
can they
in the
ride the
winter
ferry?
I haven't
For
seen
free
that
on
happen,
Tuesdays.
but
Oh, nice. Nice.
Only off season.
Yeah,
Only
only
off
off season, right?
But the they will freeze over in the winter, and they probably did 2 weeks ago. Probably
Oh,
got a
yeah.
pretty solid
Solid.
layer on there.
Oh yeah.
But I wanted to add before. I just wanted to make one more comment on this Chardonnay beer. You were talking about you want people for the beers from Fry Island to be party beers.
Mhm.
This is your bachelorette party beer.
Thank
That's
you.
what they're gonna love this one.
I would go with that party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know. A couple other brewers that we've talked to have gone with that white wine kind of flavor, whether through different hops or using white wine barrels and things,
Sure.
to try to make a lady-oriented beer.
Well,
Nigel Thornberry from Brickhouse.
well, yeah,
But
but then like
this-
Barrage has like White Girl Wasted, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Like, really?
Yeah. But
Interesting.
but I think like this is, I think you can, if you have, not to be completely stereotypical, but if you get a lady in there that doesn't know exactly what she wants but wants a light beer, I think if you hand her this and she says she really likes white wine, they're going to be really pleased with this beer.
Yeah, I think you're kind of hitting the nail on the head. I mean, although I don't think we would ever like, I don't think we would deign to try to design a beer for the ladies, but
Yeah.
I do think that there are flavor profiles that women like better than men, and maybe it's not even that women like better than men. It's just that people that aren't familiar with craft beer can get down.
I think
has it has that winey character. It has that kind of basic lager character.
Yeah.
So it's almost like taking your the crappy jug of Chablis and a PBR and basically pouring them in equal parts.
I think we just found Cliff's favorite drink.
It's a fuck ton better than that, but that's besides it is a variable fuck ton better than that. But
Thank you.
but I understand how like your thought process goes to that.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I
I've
just
seen
think
women-
like I can see that it's good, and and that's not to say that there's not the ladies out there that will put down the heavier, darker stouts way faster than I will and make me look like a little bitch about it.
No, but it's
but I
definitely
think
a
that's
very
kind
good
of like-
introductory beer because
Yeah.
the bitterness is very,
Yeah.
mild, and then it's got all the fruity notes and aroma from the the time spent in the wine barrel.
Yeah, it's one of those beers like there's so many beers out there that are hard sells. Like, I think if you like chocolate, there's no reason you shouldn't want to drink a Russian Imperial Stout. If you like, if you like raspberry sorbet, there's no reason why you shouldn't try Cantillon.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they're very in the overall in the overall list of flavors that are out there in the world, they're not all that different from stuff that people have already had,
Yeah.
Right.
Stouts and chocolate.
You get
Stuff like that.
coffee. People love coffee, but for some
Yeah.
reason,
Except
I'm the
you.
reverse. Right, I'm the reverse. I've tried a bunch of different coffees, even like the expensive Civic coffees and stuff.
Yeah.
I've never really liked coffee, but I really like coffee stouts. I like
drank that
a
shit?
roasted. Yes, I did. It's not cats; they're monkeys.
Weasel. I thought it was a weasel.
Simmons, please.
They're monkeys. I eat primate shit. No,
Um,
gonna have to isolate that. That's gonna have to be my ringtone.
Hey, primate shit?
I eat primate shit. Yeah, it's definitely gonna have to be my ringtone.
my, I guess basically what I'm just getting used to this microphone.
That's right.
That's quite all right. I have 2 years. We'll be okay. Cool.
Don't be bitch.
Yeah, what was it? Okay, yeah. So basically, I think that people need to get comfortable with different beer flavors.
Right.
But also I think that there's it's what everybody thinks of when they think of beer, at the base level. I think it's that lager, that
Yes.
Yeah.
clean
The-
basic lager.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the mass market clean lager. It's it's Bud Light. It's one of those that when you think of beer, it's frat party beer. That's what's popping in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get it.
I think we've thoroughly shamed Cliff enough at this point because every party that's
Oh,
happened in the
God.
last year, he's brought toasted lager and not Bud Light.
So the last time I was
that's
on
true.
Fire Island was for his bachelor party.
For our
Friend Cliff's bachelor party. And the request was to bring as much shitty light beer as you possibly can. So I brought like 2 cases of Natty Ice.
Nice.
Apparently that was the base. Like that was
That
was too shitty. We played
You
beer
jumped
pong.
the shark on it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I had never had Natty Ice before ever. And we played beer pong with it. I won't even play beer pong with it. Like it's not good. So I think that when people think it's a step up from that, I mean, it's a good, clean, say, Bud Light, which is definitely Cliff's favorite beer, even though now he listed it since he was on the podcast and told us a bunch of wrong facts about presidents.
He's only a history teacher. It's okay.
Fake news.
Wow.
So he's
amazing.
this is a big homage to roasting our friends that no one listening to us has ever met.
Exactly.
But anyway, that's I think what most people think of, and when you can have something you can tell them it's like this, but a little bit different, just different enough to be cool.
Yeah.
You can sort of build on that palate. We always talk about gateway beers and how to get people over to craft beer.
Yeah, I think like the beers that we do can be considered gateway beers, or like I like to call it entry level craft because it's it is craft beer. Like it doesn't matter if it's like just because our IPA isn't super pale and hazy and packed with like the juiciest, most modern hops known to man, doesn't mean that we don't put as much love and care and craft into creating Red Wagon IPA as say like the Vale does with Crucial Taunt or I don't know, other half does with all their beers. There's so many beers out there that I think it's just interesting to see that like when people basically like people's tastes have changed so drastically that I think I got off on a tangent.
That's good. That's quite right. This whole thing
that's
is a
half
tangent.
the time.
Yeah, exactly. I know, but I know what you mean. The idea, what people's perception is of a beer.
Yeah.
You have to, expand it. You keep expanding it little by little.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, I started more on the sour end of things, and then started to realize, okay, I like dark beer, so I'm at these two parts. So now, for us at least, I think the IPA, the pale ale, like finding what that is, what we like about those is becoming more interesting. So it's kind of the same thing, like those standard beer styles everyone thinks of. That's kind of like what we're trying to figure out which one of these do we like.
Yeah. So
it's interesting. But one thing that's definitely controversial is what was just poured now is the pumpkin beer.
Uh-oh.
I don't hate this.
I know. I can tell when you taste it.
Because
You swallowed it, so I know we're good.
Well, no, but like the spicing is restrained. Like this isn't a pumpkin pie spice bomb.
No, this smells the most like the actual squash than a lot of the ones that we've had. And I've had in general.
I get hints of that. I get like some hints of caramel. There's definitely some allspice or maybe cinnamon in the aroma, but it's not like so many of them that the spicing like it's just super spiced, and I just don't like that.
He hates mine.
But the most important question is, if someone asks you to put the stupid cinnamon sugar on the rim, are you angry about it, or do you just do it because they expect it? Where's your take on that? Where do you fall on this heated debate?
On that heated topic, and I'm going to lump in the whole citrus on a half for a wit glass too. I used to care a lot about it, and it used to just like I feel like the beer is the beer, and it's not a cocktail, like you don't need to put fruit or anything in there. But I make beer for people to drink. I don't make beer for myself to drink. So like if somebody wants a cinnamon sugar rim, if they want me to put a slice of pumpkin on there, if God forbid they want an orange slice on their pumpkin beer. Sure, people are gonna want to put orange in their wit and lime in their lager. Like I get that, and honestly, Mazel Tov. Like go for it. Yeah.
Look, see, I already put the lime in there.
Yeah.
It's already
I took care of it for you guys.
I saved you a step.
Yeah. No, but like I mean, going back to our conversation about what people are drinking and why they drink it. Like, if somebody who doesn't drink craft beer is going to drink my pumpkin beer because it has a cinnamon sugar rim on it. You know what? A, that's exposing them to more craft beer, and B, it's putting a little bit of money in my company's pocket. So, It's a win-win for everybody. It's a simple thing.
Stand on your head and drink it.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah. Like I've worked in brew pubs long enough to know that like when you're the brewer at a brew pub, you're the dancing monkey, and you know even at a production brewery, you know when you're the head brewer and you know you're showing people around and talking on podcasts, you're the dancing monkey. Like it's
You have not danced at all for us. I want to say that. I'm putting that
and
on
it
the
won't
record.
happen today.
Damn it. Damn it.
Podcast number 3 maybe.
Okay, number 3.
Oh, wow.
Noted. Book it, Justin.
We're on the date schedule.
We're
After,
marking.
but what happens if we're in the friend zone by then?
Friend zone.
Let's hope not. Let's hope not. I had something and I lost it. I don't know.
Sorry, I fucked you up with the whole friend zone thing.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
got
sorry.
friend zoned.
I did. Oh, I know what I wanted to mention. We talked about, we talked about it being entry level craft beer, beer that's really accessible. What was the beer that made you sit there and say, you know what, beer is something pretty damn awesome that I really do want to explore the great beers that are out there and not just be drinking beers for beer's sake?
So like I said before, back in college in Rhode Island, I was exposed to quite a few different beers.
Does culinary school just like totally blow that idea out of the water of just saying like, you know what, listen, I'm going to be trying all sorts of crazy things anyway?
I'm not sure what way you mean by blowing it out of the water.
Well, I would say that being in culinary school, you're open to, I think you're naturally going to be more open to exploring flavors and all the different aspects of a food product or a beverage. And so going to a beer is in that same vein. You're not necessarily, I wouldn't imagine that you would just go and say, well, I only want this one variety of beer and this is what beer should be and that's the only way to look at it. Like I feel like you might be a little more naturally inclined to look at a random beer and be like, you know, fuck it, let's try that thing. Let's explore that and see what's going on there.
You know, I think back in culinary school, I absolutely was. Like, you know, two beers that I distinctly remember drinking and enjoying very much for one reason or another. Moylan's Hopsicle and Imperial IPA. That is, the last time I had it, I was taken aback by how bitter it was because it's like this big, it's an old school California IPA.
Okay.
That's got like
Shoot my face with
150
resin.
IBUs. Yeah, it's just like scrape it off your tongue bitter, you know, but it's delicious. And then the other one was an oak aged Great Divide Yeti. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know what that means.
That's
There you go.
And
That's my thing.
this is back when I was when I thought drinking craft beer was, you know, 8% bombers out of the bottle.
Right.
You know, there's also Sierra Nevada that's kind of, you know, been very much a beacon for me.
Okay.
Local one.
The classic pale ale, or
Yeah, the classic pale ale.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are a few here and there, but you know, for the most part, Sierra Nevada has kind of been the prime light for where I've kind of gone as far as like what kind of beers I like to brew.
Okay.
But I gotta say, like, I do enjoy, you know, a lot of what Sand City and Dubco and, you know, places like the Vale and Trillium and Other Half and everybody else that's doing a hazy IPA or whatever. Like, I do enjoy that style, but, you know, if you were to, you know, put me on a desert island and say, what beer are you taking with you? And it's the only beer you can have and you're getting a lifetime supply, it would probably be Sierra Nevada or maybe Corona if, you know, I'm you know, worried about Light Strike or something. But,
Corona cans. Corona cans.
Oh.
glass bottles. They use I forget the name of the hop product, but it's for a long
they're
time,
using a deskunked.
Yeah, it's deskunked,
Gotcha.
Oh.
but it's so good. It's like water.
Exactly. All right. One other thing that I wanted to ask you about, kind of backtracking again, you mentioned that you had worked at Black Bar's Brew House.
Yes.
They try to stick to the traditional German styles there, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a, you know, Black Forest Brew House.
Right.
You can't get around the fact that it's very German and.
Oh yeah, no,
influenced.
absolutely.
Is it German?
Yeah.
But what I really wanted to ask you was the wheat beer,
Uh-huh.
the Sigi, whatever
Oh,
it is.
this is like real. We're getting.
Yeah, like, do you remember, I don't know if you remember it or don't remember it or anything. I really just want to know how the hell do you say that name? Like that's it. Like I just don't know
The
how
pronunciation.
Is it Nasuji's? Not like I don't know what it is.
Was it a Hefeweizen or
It-
is it a proprietary name for Black Forest?
I don't.
No, this is just
Yeah.
the name they give it. Like,
Right.
This is,
Yes.
like Red
Suchi's
Wagon,
Brew,
Red
yeah.
Wagon IPA.
Yeah, I guess it's a proprietary name
Yeah.
that they give it.
It must be. Yeah, I think when I was there, the three cores were the Pilsner, an Amber Lager, and the Hefeweizen.
H2O, please.
And I don't think we ever had any other names aside from
Okay.
Amber, Pilsner, and Hefeweizen. But I could be wrong. I could
Okay,
also be
then-
misremembering.
Don't worry about it at all. I was just as I was looking it up, and I'm like, oh, we got some inside info. Maybe we can ask them, and it's okay.
I will tell you that they work on a really unique cellar system where they have these serving tanks that are actually lined with these big plastic bags, so you never have to wash those tanks. They're amazing
That's
to work
convenient.
with. Yeah.
Okay.
Plus, they're also like I think they're like 7 or 8 barrels. So like, if you're the guy that's got to make sure the beer's flowing, like you might have one long day and then you're set for about 3 or 6 weeks. I think there's like 8 or 16 kegs worth of beer in each of those tanks.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's got to be convenient because you have, like you said, those 3 beers, and it seems that they have a rotating fourth of some sort now. But
Yeah.
you know what you're brewing. You get, you got your process down.
Mhm.
Actually, we were there for Kevin's birthday, and the guy was brewing, and my son and his daughter were.
My daughter was sculpting the
Yeah,
brewer
yeah.
while he was working. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very little. He's 2. He was 2 at the time, and he was 2 and 2.5 roughly, right? Something like that. Pretty close.
2 and a quarter.
Something like
Yeah.
that. Anyway, yeah, they were just old enough to be annoying.
Right.
It's a lot better to get harangued by 2-year-olds than 25-year-olds. I'll say that.
Yeah.
That's true. At least they're cute.
Yeah.
So this is the Red Wagon IPA.
Yep. This is probably one of the beers we're best known for. Classic craft American IPA. It's subtle, low key, a lot of Centennial, a lot of Cascade in there. Some caramel character. It's filtered, so it's not hazy. Some might call it archaic, but I don't know who. I kind of curious to hear you guys' thoughts.
I like this. This is one of the West Coast style IPAs that every once in a while I'm not gonna mind drinking one of these. And the main reason for that, like it's got a good maltiness, which is lost on a lot of them, but also there's definitely a prominent bitterness, but it doesn't get to the dank resin-like bite that a lot of IPAs have to me, because I think I'm just really words susceptible. That's not the right one, but that's what I'm getting at. Like,
Tuned.
yeah, like I'm very like I'm a super taster as far as like that resin character in
Sure.
the American hops, and like a lot of them, I get like this like crunching bite in the aftertaste that just puts me off them entirely, and I don't really get it out of this, and it's gonna be my once in a while. Yeah, I'm gonna have that.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, the caramel addition, that type of maltiness that makes this a more drinkable IPA for me the most. I know putting caramel in IPAs or crystal malt is it's kind of some people like you shouldn't do it. This is supposed to be a hop forward and bitter beer. Why put that in there? But I think that the balance is needed. Like you can have that finish as long as you have the right thing up front.
Yeah.
Without that malt backbone, all you end up getting is just that death
Yeah.
back of your throat. But this doesn't have that. This is has the malt backbone. It's very good.
Thank you. Yeah. This is definitely not. This is not that that hyper modern IPA. This is not. I won't say any other brewery names, but we all know who we're talking about, right? And,
Yeah.
And those beers are great, but this is not what that's supposed to be. This is supposed to be, again, in line with what Fire Island's all about, and having a couple beers at a sitting, not just sitting down for one, incredibly complex, rich, juicy,
That
low bitterness hop bomb.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're going that way. I thought you were gonna say 150 IBUs blows your palate out after
Yeah.
one, so
Well,
you
yeah.
can't taste anything after it.
Well, again, it's definitely not. It's definitely not one of those kinds of hops either.
No, it's not.
IPAs.
And that's why I appreciate it. And it's gonna be, every once in a while, like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna have one of those because it's been a while since I had it.
Yeah.
I enjoy it once in a while. And it's not just like, oh, I'm done. I'm done. One taste. That was all I needed.
I like the maltiness to it, but it's just not my jam.
Yeah.
And I hate it's just not my thing. Like I think the hops on it are just a little too much for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not really the style that I would enjoy to go with. So am I happy to try it again? Yeah, I'm very happy to try it again. But just for my flavor, for what I prefer to drink, I'd much rather go back to either the sea salt one, even, especially this version of it, or the what was the other the Fuego. Like, if I'm gonna have a lighter beer, I'd much rather go for one of those two than come back to this one for it.
Sure.
But the malt definitely saves it more and allows it to be a much more enjoyable experience and not something about, oh my god, why on earth am I drinking this and doing this to myself?
I've definitely had those.
Yeah.
Somebody gifted me a single cut IPA, and I didn't really look into it. I just opened it, poured it, and turned out it was 127 IBUs.
So what were the ones that Jack got us from?
From
Jesus
yeah.
Christ, it's totally wasted on us.
Wow.
I'm sure there were some people listening going like, "Fuck you guys, you don't enjoy that at all."
One of our listeners gave us beers from the Alchemist. And basically, he's a big,
Beelzebub.
Yeah. He's a big hophead. He's like, I wonder what you guys think of these. I'm like, I think you know.
Yeah, people are weird with hops, man. They people have pretty much, or some people have kind of gotten into craft solely for that hop experience, which is, it's great to have more people in craft, but I think it's also there's a huge world of craft beer out there that isn't just hazy IPAs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What do we got left? I think we've only got like one left. We've been doing pretty good work between these. We've got the
a
fire
bottle
on
of
the
the wit left.
All right. Let's
I remember digging on this last time.
yeah, let's crack open the wit.
And
Just to make sure.
Oh yeah, prove it to the people.
Yes.
while we save this last beer here, we're gonna go through our 6-pack of questions,
Okay.
which we throw at anyone that actually agrees to sit with us.
we might have hit. We
hit a few of these already. So like the first one is, which we touched on before, which is your favorite or your old standby that you've always got in the fridge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I said Sierra Nevada, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
What else do I pretty much always have in my fridge? My father-in-law likes Coors Light, so that's always in the fridge.
I think the father-in-law has.
I periodically go on quests to try and find Miller High Life because that's my father-in-law's beer.
That's everybody's favorite beer.
I could drink one of those too. It's not a disappointing beer.
It's not Rolling Rock.
No, it's not.
It's definitely not Rolling
You
Rock.
should not be able to buy beer in fucking buckets. What is the deal with fucking buckets? I don't buy a bucket of fucking anything except for like spackle. Like, why would somebody go, hey, you know what we need? A shitty tin bucket. That's what's going to make us look awesome.
You guys did some of the wit on it.
Yeah.
So,
although Rolling Rock that's a gem. The glass line tanks of Old Latrobe.
Jeez.
all right. Number 2 is, what's your favorite brewery that is not your own?
My favorite brewery that's not my own. That, I feel, is an exceptionally loaded question. I have...
Well, you've got three or four you can call your own at this point. That you were in, right?
Yeah, we'll exclude. Those are excluded, so you're kosher.
Well, I think, right now, obviously Fire Island's my favorite, but, I think there are a lot of people out there that are doing some really nice things. 6 Point, I have a deep respect for because of how well they treated me for the short time that I was there. And I think that they're also on the cutting edge of not only, some of the beers that they're brewing and some of the ways that they're trying to get beer out to the people. But I think just in terms of how they run their business, they're very forward thinking, and it was really eye opening to work for a company that was like that actually cared about the people that were doing the jobs.
But yeah, that is definitely always a good thing. Yeah. I can speak firsthand for that.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as like you know, other breweries that like I respect what they do. You know, I know the guys down at the Vale, all right, and I think they make awesome beer. I think you know, they're doing some really cool stuff, and you know, I'm really excited to see what they do. Yeah, I don't know. They're, you know, pretty much all the breweries on Long Island, I think, have kind of done a really great job of rising the tide and making better beer available across Long Island. So, you know, I know eventually there's like, what, 40 breweries on Long Island now, and there's a few more to
Something
open
like that, yeah.
this year, and God knows how many are going to open in 2019. So I know there's going to be a bubble at some point, but I think every brewer on Long Island should hold their head high and understand that they've done a great job of kind of making the Long Island beer scene, you know, basically, you know, nothing to something huge in maybe 10 years, you know?
Yeah,
I mean, if I'm wrong, you know, please feel free to reach out.
No,
I would agree with you.
We're going to agree with you. I think definitely in the past, you know, the past 2 years we've really focused on it. But even the, you know, I would say probably 2 or 3 years prior to that. So we're pretty good on the last 5 years of saying like we've really, if it's gotten down to us and noticed it, I'm sure the people that have been into beer for a really long time have seen in the past decade that it's been growing, and we love it for that. We really do.
Yeah, it's
hence
really
why
cool,
we're
man.
doing this. Like,
Right.
we want to make sure we enjoy as much of it as possible.
Yeah.
and share our drunkenness with other people.
Yeah, that's true too. All right, third one.
Very generous with that.
Number 3 is, what is your favorite brewing ingredient?
My favorite brewing ingredient.
This always seems to be the hardest one.
This is a tough one. Like, I mean,
You can pick a malt and a hop and an adjunct, or
all right. So I'm gonna say water for my first one.
I don't know if that's a favorite so much as a requirement.
I guess it really depends, though. I mean, if you go to great lengths to either treat the water or like, you know, that I think then that qualifies.
I've had fun with brewing with a reverse osmosis system, so using literally the cleanest, softest water you can imagine.
Building up whatever mineral profile you want.
Yeah, but then there's also, you know, there's something to be said for the fact that, you know, the water in any given area does add a lot of terroir to the liquid.
Well, yeah,
and maybe
and
not
that's
in like, you know, in the ways that, you know, the soil adds terroir to wine, but
no, but that, you know,
Close.
to that point, that's why a lot of the classic styles grew up where they did when they did, because the brewers adapted the beer that they made to what they could make that tasted good from the minerals that were in the water they had.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're getting our, you know, our malts from, you know, as far away as Germany, our hops from as far away as Germany and Idaho, and like, you know, I don't think like me being able to make a good beer does not equate to terroir, right? So like I can make a lager here, I can make a lager on the West Coast, I can make a lager, you know, anywhere, and it'll still be really good. But if you use the same ingredients, you know, I don't know if there's terroir when you use hops and malts from all over the country and you bring them to one place, and all you're doing in the one place is manufacturing. But I do think that the one thing that does bring the terroir is the water. And even if it's, you know, even if you treat it, if you add salts or you do reverse osmosis, like that's still the only thing that you're like, unless you're willing to spend an arm and a leg to get, you know, Long Island malts or Long Island hops. It's the only thing that you have available to you, pretty much, that's going to actually add.
Put a local character on it.
Yeah, you know,
Okay.
you
I
can
can
do
see
that.
that.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense, and you're honestly the first person that I've spoken to that, you know, has taken that viewpoint, and now that you've explained it, I totally understand what you're getting at.
Yeah, like, you know, I know Dubco just got a cool ship, and that's another way. Like, I don't know if that would be considered an ingredient or equipment, probably equipment. But the yeast, the wild yeasts that you end up collecting
Well,
on the wort.
on that subject, I have a proposition for you after we're done recording,
Okay.
because I can help you out there.
All right.
Yeah, we may or may not have what we believe is
I have a
water
mason
yeast.
jar
Yeah,
in my refrigerator.
Nice.
and
nice.
we have product that we've fermented with it. It's you know, smelled like a gun range when we were doing it, but it's
Smelled
fine
like
now.
a gun range.
Yeah, well, it's good. It's good now. We're
Like
fine
fire
now.
and brimstone. Huh?
Yeah, it was pretty fucked up, but
All right, what's our next question?
All right, number 4 is your least favorite style of beer.
My least favorite style of beer. Hazy IPA. No. I don't know. I mean, like, I used to think it was pumpkin ales, but now I'm kind of like I used to just be like, I don't even want to see a pumpkin ale. Don't even talk to me about a sugar rim.
I can appreciate that.
You know, after being kind of like forced to brew one, and like, you know, I've brewed a peanut butter beer too. So,
Those can be
Yeah.
very good though.
you know what? I did really enjoy the one that I made. But anyway, yeah, no, I would probably have to say like, least favorite beer style would probably be like maybe pumpkin beer, maybe wit beer. Just because you know, they're just two beers that I just don't drink very often.
Not enough going on for you, or
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty going on. I think. You
they
know,
just don't
structurally,
tickle you the right way.
yeah, they don't tickle me the right way. Saisons, I haven't really had a saison in a long time. Just not because there aren't good ones out there, just because, you know, and I'd rather drink like, I don't know, like a classic IPA or like a Pilsner or something like that. That's just right now my
It's personal preference. So
Yeah.
You're entitled to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's why we asked. We want to know what's going on in your head.
All right, number 5 is where would you like to go on beercation?
Beercation? Is this like going to a brewery, going to
Like you're going to
Yeah,
travel
famous.
somewhere for
any of those things.
Yeah,
any
I
of
mean,
these things?
for
all of
a
these
beer
things.
experience.
I mean,
whatever
you already
it may
seem to
be.
be able to check off that idea of like going and drinking beers all over Germany and Belgium and stuff, and that's something.
Only Belgium and Denmark.
Oh, Belgium and Denmark, but that's like
Germany
kind of like
would
the
be cool.
idea that we get with people. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd love to go to Belgium and just drink a whole bunch of crazy beers.
Yeah.
I just want to drink
Or,
British
uh,
Atlantics until I fall down.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I want to do.
That, you know
or,
what?
or
I have
Jason
never
from the
been to
Brews
Cantillon,
Collective just
so
pulls
that would be
out his laundry list.
Cantillon would definitely be up there.
There you go.
No doubt.
I've seen the Stone Brewery, the one in Richmond. I've seen the Sierra Nevada Brewery in Chico.
You go to Stone in Germany though.
Stone in Germany would be cool. I'm trying, like, honestly, like, in my head, I'm like a beer vacation, and like I can't address the beer part before I address the vacation part. I'm like, vacation, that means hot, tropical, sandy beaches, light beer. The only
There are a lot of good craft breweries in Hawaii. I can speak from first-hand
Really,
experience.
I've heard Hawaii is very, very expensive though.
It was an expensive trip.
Yeah. See, if I was gonna do expensive, I would probably go back to if I was gonna do expensive and beery or more craft beery than, you know, I'd probably do generally on vacation. It'd be probably the Caribbean, like BVI.
Okay.
We honeymooned in Tortola, and they actually had craft beer down there. It was actually pretty good.
Yeah, there's apparently a bunch popping up in Chile too. So
Yeah.
I think that would be on my list. My wife
Yeah.
hates. I like warm temperatures. I just don't like the beach. I don't like sand.
Yeah.
But so I think that I'd have to drag her there because she doesn't like
Yeah.
warm things
Well,
or outside or bugs.
To
or
be fair to
anything.
your wife, though,
Yeah.
like if she spends 10 minutes on the beach, like she's toast. She's burnt
yeah,
out.
She looks like she grew up in Haiti if she's there for like 10 minutes. Yeah, my wife is like white of white.
Nice.
She looks like
Your
she
wife-
looks like powder.
Your wife,
Oh
your
my
wife
God.
is very fair of complexion.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's very northern Italian. So, but yeah, so I would mine would be at the moment would be Chile.
Nice.
I kind of want to go check out the crazy like backwoods craft beer scene going on.
All right. So the last question is, what is the favorite name for any beer that you've encountered? Whether that's like punny or any whatever it is. Like
Yeah.
Something that just you saw it and you're like, it has that. I get it. That's kind of funny.
I'm trying to think. The one that comes to mind, and I had to be told why it was actually, like, what the name meant. I thought it was just nonsense, a fun-sounding name, Crucial Taunt. But if you actually look into it, have you guys seen Wayne's World?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a
Okay.
while. Yeah, it's been a little while.
Okay, think back, like way back, dig deep into your brains, right? So Wayne's love interest, Cassandra, right?
Yeah.
She had a band, right?
Right.
That band was Crucial Taunt.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a great answer.
That's good.
That is good.
Yeah.
You know, having that recognition.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's one of those times where having to explain the joke to someone is actually even funnier than
Yeah, that's good.
someone just getting it.
Yeah, like I had no idea, and I was like, "That's a great name." Like, I don't know what the heck that means, and like, I don't know what the label is. Like, it's like a Yeti chasing a guy with a bat, if I recall correctly. But like, it's just so random. And then for somebody to be like, to bring cans into a brewery and have somebody be like, "Oh, dude, that's the Veil. That's Crucial Taunt. You know that beer was named after Wayne's World, right?" And you're like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
No, it's not, you idiot. It's got a Yeti on it.
Yeah, it's like,
There's no Yetis in Wayne's World. I can't remember that much.
I don't see a funny looking Canadian guy on here anywhere. I don't see a little Filipino girl. What are you talking about? And but yeah, no. So that I gotta say is probably one of the best names I've heard for a beer so far.
Excellent.
That is a really good one. So we just want to kind of know what's going on at Fire Island. Is there anything really new and interesting that's coming down the pipe? You got something? Is this delicious Chardonnay beer going to be coming out soon?
Oh yeah. What's its name if it has one?
Chardonnay Lager.
Oh,
Pretty
okay.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah, keep it simple.
All right.
There you go.
I didn't know if it was like White Wagon Lager.
No, that would be good though. I like that. So what do we have coming down the pike? I mean, 2018 is going to be a big year for us. We're, like I said, we are just dipping our toe into what we can do at our new facility in Bayshore. Chardonnay Lager, we are working on a plan to bring that to a wider audience. Right now, we only did one barrel, so there's, it's a very limited availability. It's like, honestly, like you'd have to. So we do.
You got your few kegs there, and that's it, right?
Yeah, we'll do. We're right now at the brewery. We're doing takeout beer. You can text us. The contact information is on the Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram accounts.
Yeah,
And we'll make Justin link it at the bottom of the.
I can include that in this little
Yeah,
post as
Justin,
well.
link it at the bottom.
Yeah, Kevin will beat you.
Thank you.
Kevin will beat you relentlessly, and I'll take care of it.
I'll call your hotline if I.
Do it, Tech Mule. Do it.
Actually, if you could call our hotline, it'd be super. Like
Yeah.
just with a follow up, that'd be great.
I could do that. I'll come up with something good. I'll get good and
Anything you could do to give me more
I
energy,
just got these.
it would be amazing.
You get to be the first person to get this.
You the first person.
These are nice. I like these. Very nice, man. You each have your own cards, huh?
We're fancy like that.
I like that. Good for you guys.
Mr. Print for the win, motherfucker.
Dude, Mr. Print is the best.
They're actually our first sponsor. No,
No,
they're
not
not.
really.
No, not at all.
We have no sponsors.
We sponsored them partially by purchasing.
Yeah, exactly.
You're their sponsor.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, so you're doing limited run on this.
Limited run on the Chardonnay Lager. We're doing takeout beer only out of the tasting room while we're under construction.
Right.
We are looking forward to opening our tasting room sometime in 2018. Stay tuned to social media for that kind of announcement.
Will do.
We're looking at increasing our production, getting more beer out to the people, potential equipment purchases. We're going to be doing more canning. And I don't know. My wife's pregnant, so that's going to happen.
Mazel tov.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
First
You're
one.
joining the club of not sleeping.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
As Kevin is going to join the club as well this year.
Recently
Yeah.
found out as well.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think that's it that's going on at the brewery.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's
Two
awesome.
things.
All right.
Indeed.
Well, I want to say thank you very much for coming down and joining us here to talk with us about, some of your other offerings here and to, give us that second chance on the sea salt ale.
Well,
It's definitely a big difference as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, greatly appreciate it. Yeah.
I appreciate you guys taking a second crack at it. I'm sure
Oh
it was
no,
tough to do.
we've done that before. Like we did that once before with Great South Bay's
Muscat Love.
Muscat Love.
Yeah, I took like 4 swings at that one.
Well,
not
yeah,
like
because you just really liked it. Kevin and I were like,
no, that's not true. To not really like it. I realized that it wasn't as bad as it was the first time we had it. We had it in a bottle. It was also our second episode.
Okay.
So, we're like not sure even what to do, what
Mhm.
this thing is, which end to talk into. And we taste this beer. We were like, pause. Whoa, what happened? And so we had it again at the
Craft Classic.
Craft Classic. And while it's still not definitely our favorite, it was definitely way better than the first time. So I
Nice.
think something was up with that bottle. But it wasn't nearly the stark difference that this was.
Yeah, when we the first bottle that we drank initially, dear God, it was like,
It was.
how did this
was
win
not
a
right.
gold medal?
Yeah, we were really confused by that fact.
Well,
So
there we
But
go.
after
We-
later
we've learned-
tastings have
Yeah.
improved our impressions.
and we've
Indeed.
also all been through at least one off flavor century training since then. So
Yeah,
nice.
we've learned to be able to identify these things.
A little more. A little more. Are we going to be able to find you guys out at some of the events this upcoming year? Maybe some of the festivals and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have a list in front of me, but I'll
Just to
get
know
a
that
list
you're out
to
there,
you.
we'll make sure we'll
Yeah.
stop by the tent and say hi.
We're gonna float around, man. We're gonna be at most of the beer festivals that we can get to, and some of the ones that we don't want to be at. And
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
as we're getting into this more, I think we're seeing more of that side of like, okay, we can see how it's more of a chore than it is.
my question is, when is Beertastic Voyage going to have a tent at a festival and do live podcasts?
Live podcasts, no. But
Live
we
streaming
sort of had a tent at
At the Craft Classic.
Yeah.
We shared a tent with
Long
our
Island Beer
Airbnb.
Malt
Oh, okay.
enthusiasts.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were kind enough, and we kind of had our own table with our lovely banner back there
Nice.
and
It's very
everything.
nice
But
banner.
we will, for the first time, there'll be Beertastic beer. Not exactly us, but it's us, but in combination with some people at the NanoCast Festival.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah, Justin and I are going to be serving for both Brewers East End Revival and Long Island Beer Malt enthusiasts
Nice.
at that event.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And I'll be walking around drinking and talking to people.
Nice.
That's what you do.
I love it.
Something
Yeah.
tells me Far Isle won't be at the NanoCast Festival.
You drink beer. And
Where is that?
It's
What
at,
is that?
it's at Rocky Point in
Like
a
3 weeks.
municipal hall in 3 weeks,
Okay.
and you guys don't qualify.
NanoCast.
Yeah,
Like small cans?
yeah. They serve everything in
It's-
3-ounce cans. I'm just kidding.
the
That's
You
brilliant.
gotta have a special canning line.
it's the Rocky Point Artisan Brewers. It's like their yearly event
Okay.
at like the clubhouse in that little like neighborhood of
Okay.
where one of the
When
owners
when
lives.
you drive there, you're like, this can't possibly.
You're like,
Oh,
I'm
someone's
done,
house.
like
Yeah.
something's wrong with
Do you hear the,
Google
do you hear the
Maps.
theme from, is it,
Oh yes, you hear dueling banjos
Yeah.
playing in the
Yeah.
background.
You do. You drive. Last time we were like one of the first people
It's in the
there.
middle of a
Yeah.
neighborhood. It's
Yeah.
really weird. It's like
Oh, yeah.
they're they're a beach community, so it's their local community hall.
Oh, really?
And you would expect it would make a lot more sense to rent out the place for a young birthday party or or something like that. But to have a beer festival there, it's actually a really awesome little spot. And
Nice.
It's a small event too. Like if you happen, it's February.
yeah,
16th?
Something like that.
Okay.
It's the 17th. It's the Saturday after Homebrew Rally.
Right.
And
Are you guys judging the Homebrew Alley?
I am, yeah.
Alewife, right?
No,
Fifth Hammer.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
But if you want to stop by that event, it's actually a super fun craft beer event. Like it's all
Yeah.
sorts of don't
It's-
drink all of them though. Don't
It's
do that.
what, like maybe a dozen local breweries and
maybe a
they,
little more.
yeah, with one or more Firkins.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
all right. So last chance. Is there anything else you want to get out there? Let the people know.
No, thanks for inviting me. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for listening, and drink more Fire Island beer.
No
Thanks so
doubt.
much for
Will
coming
do.
down, man.
Cool.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, Dan. Thanks.
If you enjoyed Beertastic Voyage, please be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and don't forget to review and rate us. The guys can be found online at www.beertasticvoyage.com, on Facebook at www.facebook.com/beertasticvoyage, and Twitter and Instagram at Beertastic Show, or send them a good old-fashioned email at beertasticvoyage@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and cheers for local beers.